I suppose things, and this is why I wanted to have a conversation with you, is that one of the things that professional athletes struggle with is the life after retirement from that professional aspect of the game, and I'm curious from your experience and from your experience with the people you've worked with and also the people you've played with, like, why is that the case?
Nick, being a professional athlete in itself, it's a privilege, right? Because, like I said, only 1% reach to the top of the game. And after you get there, right, staying there is also quite hard, like being consistent, right? But what also happens is that you live in a bubble. You live in a bubble where professional athletes, everything is done for you, right? So from booking of flights, you turn up for training, everything's laid out for you. In some cases where, they feed you, they clothe you, everything is done for you. You pretty much live a routine, you do what you're supposed to do best, and then you go home and you pick up your wages at the end of the month. So this becomes a habit. Like anything in life, it becomes a habit. So your life is based around what? Training for 5 days, playing on the weekend. Your years are not calendar years, your years are actually seasons. Right? Going from one season to the other, off season, then going pre-season. That's how your mind starts to think. And that's what my life was for many years. People talk about holidays. People talk about Easter, Deepavali, New Year's. No, ours is in season, off season, pre-season, and that's it. Nothing else. And then, so when you are trained that way for many, many, many years, and you kind of earn a decent wage more than your peers, so you kind of get into this bubble where you think that, this is going to last forever. I can play one more year. I can play one more year. I can play one more year. And then next thing you know, you're 35, you're looking around like, oh my God, that's the end of the road, right?
Yeah.
So, but the ones that actually do well are the ones that actually start thinking about it when they're closing in on about 29, 30, when they need to start to renew the end of the lifespan contracts, like the last contract you're going to be signing, right? Then you start thinking. For me, it was very different because I was forced out of the game. Right? I was forced to do. And at that point in time, it was like the worst thing that can ever happen to you. The world comes to an end. You're depressed. But when I look back, it was, again, the butterfly effect. One thing that happened to me in my life that I will be so thankful for is getting my contract cancelled at Tampines Rovers when I was there. I cannot begin to tell you how important that event was in my life because it completely changed the trajectory of my career afterwards. Right. So to give you some context, I obviously played with a few of the championship winning teams. In 2001, I wanted to try my luck in Europe, so I left for Europe. I'm sorry, I'm being a little bit long-winded here because I want to give you some context. I want to give you some context to this. So I went to Europe. I tried in France. I could have made it because of some complications with the agent and stuff like that. Didn't end up signing. Came back. All the other contracts were taken up. Then I'm like, well, what am I going to do? Nothing left to do. So I ended up playing part-time for Jurong FC at that time, started to build something on the side. The first thing I attempted was to build a website. And this is 2001, where it was, you're still coding HTML and I didn't have the expertise, but I was leaning on somebody. That was my kind of first foray into life after football. And then I had a fantastic year that year, played 31 games of 33, was the captain of the team, lead them to the Singapore Cup final. Very next day, I got a contract offer from Tampines Rovers. We actually played in the cup final and lost to. And that was the biggest contract of my life ever, right? They offered me money that I was like, wow, okay, I got to play with them, So moved there for 2 years. Unfortunately, things didn't go the way because the coach that signed me got sacked. Other guy came in. All thing went pear-shaped. And then at the end of the year, the club said, we want to get rid of you. We said, okay, and like pay me out. Simple as that. I would carry on playing. But unfortunately, this again dragged on. Then I had to stop because my contract got cancelled. I had to stop. No club picked me up. And I was really depressed for that 6 months, right? Really depressed for 6 months. Like, what am I going to do? I didn't end my career the way I wanted it. Luckily enough, Steve Darby from Home United called me and said, would you like to come and be part of the squad? At least you can finish your career the way, most pros deserve to finish. So I finished that, and at that point in time, I offered to move to Australia to work. So I was a little bit lucky because I was forced out of the game. Then I stumbled upon this opportunity, right? But I've always been thinking about what's life after football. if I'm being completely honest. My dad's always been in my ears. You got to think about next. So I actually went to school and I finished my master's in sports management, and I was hoping to land a job. I didn't want to be a coach. I knew that was quite clear. I didn't want to take the normal route. I was always been intrigued in the commercial side of sports anyway, like how to sell sponsorship, how to monetize sports, and so I've always been interested in that. But coming back to other athletes, you can quickly see that they don't have that vision, or it's not some have to be blamed for that, but a lot of us tend to live in this bubble that this day will never come, right? And when it finally comes, you're like, okay, scramble. What do I do, right? Not, I think just this week or last week rather, Delonte West, the former Dallas Mavericks point guard, he was homeless, substance abuse. And you saw the Dallas Mavericks boss, Mark Cuban, went pick him up from a gas station, put him in a rehab center. In fact, on my show, we were talking yesterday, like, should, sports leagues and clubs do a bit more for athletes in terms of transition for life after sports? You see a lot of, and for him, he earned 16 million a season, right? That's a lot of money, right? So it's not a matter of not having the money. It's about what do you do with it. Like how you make the money work for you, and then you're having good people around you. I still think that sports leagues and clubs and associations should do a bit more, especially if you look in the context of Singapore. As soon as you finish playing professional football, you're on your own the very next day. Yeah, you're on your own, right? So if you call your club, they won't want to know you. If you unless you're a national team player, I still think the FA does a little bit of helps you a little bit, pointing you in the right direction. But it's not that they're gonna save you. There's no guidance, there's no mentorship, and that's one of the things that I've been passionate with the work that I do these days, of helping athletes, especially footballers, to make that transition. Don't wait till the last moment to think about where your next dollar is going to come from. Ease into it. And that's not to say that forget about football and pay attention to other stuff you're doing, but it's always important and key to put those building blocks in place, so that eventually when you get there, you're not thinking about replacing incomes overnight, because that doesn't happen. Like, you can't be earning, say, 10, 15 grand one night, and then next morning you wake up and say, hey, this month there's $0 coming in, right? So that can be quite painful. And we see in many cases, right, the number of divorce, if you look at the data and stats of professional athletes, breaking up from the other half, especially as soon within a year of retiring, is very high. Because it's high, like, and then you talk about substance abuse and homelessness. I suppose we don't have that much here in Singapore, but we have also had our fair share of athletes, especially footballers, because I suppose they make the biggest bunch of professional athletes here. Going wayward it's an alarming number.